Hello, welcome back to my kitchen. Today it's, the fall season, so we got a lot of fall recipes that we can do, but right now, well, hold on. Actually, it's fall. We need to have some fall decorations out here. Perfect. All right, now you know it's fall. And today, costume, clearly what's in front of me. We're doing a Halloween themed video, even though I'm 80% sure that this video will not come out before Halloween just because of computer issues that I've had trying to get it edited in time. Like, I'm filming this on Friday and Halloween is on Tuesday. So that means I probably should have this out on Monday. So I'm gonna have a busy weekend, but that being said, Halloween, you can't have Halloween without candy corn. So we're gonna be making some candy corn today. Everybody knows it. Not too many people probably love it, but my roommate in college, one of my roommates in college, he did love it. He loved it so much that he would keep bags of it for year-round consumption. Like, he would just buy, I think he waited until it was on sale after Halloween and then just bought up a couple bags and then would just munch on it year-round. So he might enjoy this video. Most other people will be like, do I need this? I'm glad you're here. And also, I'm going to try and cut it short, even though I'm doing a terrible job of that, because the less I talk, the less I have to edit, so that I can do this a little bit quicker. So, that being said, why don't we run through the ingredients and get into cooking? Powdered sugar, powdered milk, salt, corn syrup, sugar, butter, vanilla extract, and food dye. First up, we're going to sift together the powdered sugar and the powdered milk using an actual sifter, or if you just have a fine mesh sieve, that's like what I have, then you can use that and then add in the salt afterwards. Next, just melt together the sugar, the corn syrup, and the butter. Put that in a 2-quart or larger saucepan on medium heat, and you know you're done when the butter has melted. Also, don't stir it, just kind of swirl it once or twice if you need to, but mostly leave it alone. Now we want to add in a candy thermometer and then let that temperature get up to 245, 250 is kind of the goal. The sugar will be like boiling, but yeah, so just watch that temperature. Once it hits that point, remove it from heat. Now we're going to add in the vanilla extract as well as the powdered sugar, powdered milk kind of sifted mix that we have. Stir that all up with a spatula, and it should kind of come out to be a bit of like a paste-like dough consistency. There really shouldn't be anything dry left in there. It should all be incorporated. Now, I forgot to record this, but in your mind, imagine me pouring out the dough onto a silicone-lined baking sheet, and we're gonna let that cool for a few minutes. So now we're going to cut the die into 3 individual pieces and then kind of separate them into bowls, because we don't want the dye that we're going to apply to them to kind of carry over across. We want those sections to be their own distinct color. And so that also means that while you're kneading the dye into the dough, between working on different sections, make sure you go wash your hands so there's no excess dye on them. Or you could kind of like work in order where if you did the yellow first and then the orange, obviously orange has yellow in it. So you could get away with not washing your hands that one time. But if you handle the white dough, there's no dye in there. So make sure that your hands are clean when handling that one, or else the final product will just look a little sloppy. Now we want to take the dough, effectively split it into like 2 separate sections, at least just for convenience of the work surface. Roll that out into kind of a long cylindrical like rope kind of shape. Should be even. If you remember Play-Doh days, you're making a snake, which also Play-Doh has wheat in it. So celiac people, gluten intolerance, watch out. Fun little fact there. But then once you have them into the rope format, kind of squish together the orange, the yellow, and the white to kind of give you the ribbon that will eventually become the candy corn. Now take those ribbons that you created, roll them out a little bit with a rolling pin, just kind of flatten out, make them all kind of even up, and then use a bench scraper. You could use a knife, but you just have to be careful if you're using a silicone mat because you don't want to cut through that, and cut kind of alternating wedges. Effectively, you're doing like pizza cuts And yeah, and then you have yourself some candy corn. You could try and like roll them into a candy corn more traditional shape, but it felt very tedious, and I'm lazy. Okay, so before we get into the taste test, I do want to kind of run through a few situations that might come up that you potentially could have to handle, so like a little troubleshooting. But if you're making this recipe, I highly recommend you have a candy thermometer. You saw the one that I had in the video. You need to know what temperature things are at, because you're going for a firm ball state, which is like a candy term for like like 245, 250, I believe is kind of the zone that that's in. And if you have a candy thermometer, it has little lines where it tells you like softball. I don't know if mine says firm ball, but like I know softball and hardball are both on there, which that leads into the troubleshooting, because if you don't cook it enough, so you only get up to like the softball temperature, the consistency of the candy will be a little bit more liquidy. And you'll notice that when you like pour it out on the silicone, it'll kind of spread out a little bit more. It won't really solidify as much. You can potentially solve that by popping it in the microwave for like 30-second intervals, checking it each time. Or you can knead in some powdered sugar, and that might thicken up a little bit. Now, if you went the other end and you went for like the hard ball, you're a bit SOL. Like you've made a hard candy, which is like the hard ball term. You can't really, it's like you might be able to pop it in the microwave and soften it up so you can kind of quickly do some working, but you won't get soft, chewy candy corn out of it. You'll get like a hard candy. I'm not 100% on that. The recipe effectively just says you're screwed and then no more information. So that's me speculating, like you might be able to salvage it a little bit. They effectively just say, chuck it. You can't do anything. So I'm trying to be a little optimistic, but the other thing is like if you get kind of past those two phases, like the texture is okay. When we're combining like the ropes together, so you have the three colored like rods that you have, and you're smushing them together to then roll out. If they're not really sticking together, you might have just let it cool a little bit too long. So once again, throw it in the microwave for like 5 seconds this time. You just want to make it a little tacky, and then you can squish them together, and then you should be good to go. All right, so I think you now are given the skills to handle anything that life throws at you. You should be pros. You can do it. I believe in you. Let's give this a taste test and see how we did. Now, I realize that I haven't had candy corn in a hot minute, so I don't actually remember what it tastes like or texture. Like in my head, what I remember is like waxy, a little bit like crumbly, just not really great, and also like no flavor. Like effectively it was just sugar. Now these are a little bit more like a chewy candy, a little bit more stuff going on in your mouth, a little bit more flavor. You got the vanilla, and the salt even kind of comes into play because you can definitely kind of feel the salt playing off the sugar a little bit. It's quite tasty. I enjoyed that. It's not, a one-way trip to Flavor Town, but it's not bad. So it kind of puts it in this middle ground of, I'm not going to eat handfuls of this, but like in passing, I might grab one here and there. So this probably will last me for a bit, but I'm also not a big sweets guy. So that might be my issue there. So like, I don't know, maybe somebody who likes sugar a little bit more might go through this a little bit quicker. But to me, it's not a like out of the park, oh my goodness, I can't get enough of this kind of a situation. That being said, it is a bit of like an activity. So if you have a gathering, probably especially with like kids, but I feel like adults can enjoy this as well. If you stop at like that, when I like poured it out, which actually I realized I don't think I actually recorded, but when it's like poured out onto the silicone mat, you effectively have on your hands like sugar clay. So like you can mold it into whatever you want. It doesn't have to be this. Like you can add whatever food dyes you want. You can do whatever your brain can think of. So that kind of makes this recipe a little bit more generic than specifically candy corn. You could make, I keep thinking in my head like a snowman or some kind of figurine for like a gingerbread house. So it's like you want to have it a completely different holiday entirely, something there. Or even if you want to keep it Halloween, obviously all these ideas are probably going to be day late and dollar short. So next Halloween, you could do like bats or a jack-o'-lantern, something like that. If you, to me, this kind of feels like it's going a little bit more into like a cake decoration realm where it's like it's edible, but it's not really the focus. And with that, you could do like if you had cookie cutters like I did from last year with the sugar cookies that I made, the like jack-o'-lantern, the witch, the ghost, whatnot. You could use those and then put it on like a cake or whatnot. You probably wouldn't really want to be eating those straight up because that would be just kind of a lot. But you might. I don't know. I won't judge. You do you. So just kind of the options. I feel like this goes a little bit beyond the candy corn, which to me makes it a little bit more like give it a go. It might not be something you're necessarily going to just sit down and eat yourself in a group or like decorating for some event. I feel like this recipe might add an element that you might not have thought of before. And I kind of enjoy it from that regard. So definitely going to kind of save this one for if I ever need something like that in terms of like the candy corn specifically. You know, maybe I'll make it like once a year, but it's not going to be like, oh, it's July, I want some candy corn. It'll be like, ooh, it's October, I'll make candy corn. See you next October. So that being said, I hope that you give it a go. And if you make something that isn't candy corn, let me know what you made. And also, if you've had candy corn recently and you make this, let me know how they compare. Because I guess I'll look for candy corn after Halloween, so there will not be text anywhere telling you how it compares. Where I might buy some, but I have to check to make sure it's gluten-free, because obviously, celiac life, you got to make sure everything's gluten-free, checking all the labels. And once again, day late, dollar short. But because of Halloween, Twizzlers, big secret gluten location. They put wheat in that, and like they straight up just put flour in like the cooking process. I don't know why. I assume that if you're a celiac as well, you probably know that already. But if you're just like gluten-free or like intolerant, whatnot, you might live life a little bit more loosey-goosey. Just a heads up, there's gluten in that. I don't know how much you can tolerate, but I would recommend steering clear of that. So if you ever have had an upset stomach after Halloween and been like, I didn't eat anything with gluten, but you ate a Twizzler, that might be it. All right, little PSA aside, I will sign off. So bye, Mom. Still not dead. See ya.